Well, the one thing I find myself noticing more and more nowadays is open world gaming fatigue, where a lot of the critically acclaimed games that are coming out recently all demand that you spend so much time exploring every single nook and cranny of its universe. And sometimes I just want a game that I can just sit down, play, and not worry about that kind of stuff. One game in particular that I've recently played and constantly going back to is Hakoniwa Explorer Plus on Steam and some other outlets on PC. Now, this is a game where you play as a nameless boy or girl as you explore the environment, fight perilous enemies, and touch the biggest of butts. I'm not kidding on that one, but let's go straight into it. So the game is an action RPG. It's very simplistic in its premise, where you just you fight enemies, you collect loot, and then you move on to the next environments or the next dungeons. Again, that's all there is to it. There's no overarching branching narrative. You just go around the towns and you navigate, you fight enemies. That's all you need to do. What I find really good about it is the fact that it's unapologetic in its premise. It doesn't apologize for being anything but that. It's a game that doesn't really exactly demand that you do anything else except for spend as much time as you want in the game. And that's really good. It's a really kind of good perspective on things. Another genius aspect I find about the game in particular is the fact that you can kind of think outside of the box in thanks to its wonderful programming. In a sense, for example, if you need to go fight a particular enemy and exploit its weaknesses, for example, if you fight an ice enemy and you need to find yourself a fire blade, instead of having to backtrack all the way to the nearest town to go buy one, you can instead go just hold the equipped blade that you have over an exposed torch or flame, and then suddenly you have yourself a flame blade. No backtracking, and it doesn't ruin the pacing of the game either, which is also an added bonus. Now, if there's a couple of criticisms I have about the game in particular, it's definitely its item and its menu management. While its menu management is very simple in its premise, you'll find that you're constantly backtracking or picking up items and constantly having to throw them out. And a lot of these sub-menus are actually put in the one area, so you'll find yourself, instead of items that you want to equip, you'll accidentally drop them, all because of the menu is just a little bit kind of cluttered. Another thing as well is that its sense of humor is also a little bit kind of polarizing. There's going to be a lot of butt jokes, there's going to be self-referential humor about the conventions of JRPG, and it pokes fun at itself in a really kind of sardonic, eye-rolling way, so your mileage is going to vary on that one. But despite those differences, I still find that Hakoniwa Explorer Plus is a game that I find myself constantly going back to. It's a game that's very simple in its premise, it's unapologetic, and in a world where all the critically acclaimed games coming out recently are games that you need to spend so many hours on to get that payoff, I find that this perspective with Hakoniwa is quite refreshing.